6 assumptions that can kill your cleaning business. 6 assumptions that can kill your cleaning business. And anytime I state an assumption, and I'll say it's assumption number 1 or assumption number 2, and you all know what it means to assume, right? Right? We heard about that when we were kids. But when I state an assumption that you have, I want you to interact with me. I want you to type into the comments, number 1, that's me. Or if you fit assumption number 4, type in number 4, that's me. Okay? And then somebody else who's a great note taker, you can take notes and list what the assumptions are as I teach them. So 6 assumptions that will kill your cleaning business. Assumption number 1, is this you? Is this you? If it is, put in number 1, that's me. But assumption number 1, I can't find leads. There's too much cheap competition out there, right? I can't find enough leads. There's too much cheap competition out there. So we talked with a woman last week who literally thought that was her number 1 problem in her cleaning business, right? She thought her number 1 problem is, I can't find the leads. There's so many cheap competitors. They're all listed on Facebook and they're listed on Craigslist and Thumbtack and Home Advisor, and they're all so cheap. I can't find the right leads. It's like she literally thinks that all those cheap leads are going to her future prospective clients. And it's not true. It's not true at all. I guarantee you, if we dug a little bit into her business, if I were to ask her, so tell me what you do on a regular, consistent basis to generate leads. What do you do? Usually out comes the excuses, right? Instead of saying, well, I do this and I do this every day and I spend this much money every single month. Because instead of telling me what they do, when I ask, so what do you do to generate leads? You know what I usually hear? I hear excuses like, well, I used to have Google ads, but I had to turn them off because we became shorthanded. 2 people quit. Now I'm back in the field. Okay, well, that's an excuse, not something you do. What else? Well, I used to advertise in the local newspaper, but I don't think people read newspapers anymore, so I cut that. Well, what do you do? Well, sometimes I post on Facebook. Okay, sometimes better than never, but sometimes is almost equal to never because consistency and repetition is where the results come from, not the hit and miss effort, right? So in most cases, it isn't that you can't find leads. Are you ready for this, guys? Are you ready for this? And is this your excuse? If it is, type in number 1, that's me. Most of the time, here's the issue. It isn't that leads that you can't find leads. The problem usually is the right leads can't find you. Why? Because you're not advertising. You're not out there. Like right now, what I'm doing, this is lead generation. I'm trying to generate leads to attend CBF Live. I'm trying to generate leads to come find Cleaning Business Fundamentals and change your life, your destiny, and your family forever. That's what I'm doing right now. And the more consistently I do this, the more people find the help they need. The more inconsistent, where I get too busy and I don't go live, the less people find this incredible program. And so it isn't usually, and I'm not saying it isn't the case for some of you, but if you know this is your excuse, I can't find leads. There's too much cheap competition out there advertising their cheap services, right? If that's you, here's my answer to you. It isn't that you can't find leads. It is that your leads can't find you. Get out there. Get out there. Go to the networking events. Post in Facebook groups every single day and read the rules. Make sure you're allowed. Put ads in local publications that have proven to work and have high distribution and are landing in the right zip codes, right? Get a Google Ads budget in place, but find a Google Ads expert. Don't try to do it yourself. It probably won't work. Raise your Google Ads budget. Get on Google Local. Advertise on Home Advisor, whatever. Get your name out there so that those leads who need your service can find you. So that's number 1 assumption. I can't find leads. There's too much cheap competition out there. The cheap competition is not your problem. You are. You're in your own way. So forget about the cheap competition. They've always been here. They're never going away, and they've always been here. And I bet I have more cheap competitors in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex than you do in your area. If I get my business to $3 million and keep 50 plus cleaners busy, you can. All right. Assumption number 2. Are you ready? Guys, if number 2 is you, type in number 2, that's me. Assumption number 2, this is a big one. Nobody wants to work. If I did have more leads coming in, I don't have enough people to assign the work to. Nobody wants to work. If you have been using that excuse, if you've believed that, if you have said to yourself, well, I could grow, but nobody wants to work. If that's you, type in number 2, that's me, because I'm about to beat you up right now. But I'm going to beat you up with good news. I never beat people up with bad news. So here's the good news. It isn't that nobody wants to work. It's just nobody wants to work for you. Oh, dagger in the heart, right? Don't get mad at me. That's the best news you could have heard. If you've been living off the excuse, nobody wants to work, that's why I can't grow, then there's freedom in the truth that, well, actually, it's just that nobody wants to work for you. Because you can fix you, you can't fix other people. So if it's true, nobody wants to work, well, your hands are tied. I guess you don't get to grow. But since that's not true, and the truth is nobody wants to work for you, you can fix you. You can fix your job offer. You can fix what's happening in your company that causes the good ones to leave as quick as they can, as quick as they get trained, or after a few months. You can fix what's wrong with your offer, that nobody shows up for interviews, or nobody shows up after you interview them and they accept the job, or nobody works out past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months or 9 months. You see, you can fix that, because that is simply a symptom that you've created a job that nobody wants. And isn't that good news, even if it hurts a little? Isn't that good news? Because if you've created a job that nobody wants, I can show you how to create a job that everybody wants, or at least the right people want. Maybe not everybody. I'm not going to hire a doctor with a PhD, right? Not only do they not want my job, I don't want them because they're overqualified, right? So I can show you how to create a job that the right people want and will stay long-term. So that's excuse number 2. If number 2 is you, type in number 2, that's me. All right. Are you ready for excuse number 3? If you are, type into the comments, I'm ready. Are you ready? Let me grab a sip of water and let's see if anybody's participating. All right. Number 3. Oh, here's a good one. I hear this almost every time we do a strategy session with a potential Cleaning Business Fundamentals new member, because we do have to approve each person. This is one of the most common excuses I get, and people genuinely believe it. And this is number 3. People won't pay that much in my area, right? Is that you? Have you said that? Oh, I can't charge that in my area, right? So if number 3 is you, type in number 3, that's me. Number 3, that's me. If you are guilty of thinking that people won't pay more than what you're charging, unless you're in CBF, I can almost predict within a 95% predictability accuracy. If you're not in CBF, you are undercharging usually by 25 to 30%. And you don't even know it. You're like, well, I can't charge that much in my area. It's not true. You just assume you can't. You just don't know how to charge the highest price point and still win. I mean, you know how to ask for more and get hung up on or scolded. Well, that's too expensive, right? You know how to do that. You know how to win new clients when you're undercharging. I got news for you. If you are bragging that you close 80 to 90% of the prospects that you quote, you're leaving money on the table. It isn't that you're great. It is that you're cheap. And how does that feel? That you're winning because you're cheap? Of course you're great. We know you're great. We know you're good at cleaning. But if you're winning 80 to 90% of the leads that you quote, you're leaving money on the table. You are too cheap. So here's the thing. Here's a little tip to help you convince yourself that it's not true that people won't pay that much in my area. If you haven't shopped the franchised competition in a long time, you should go shop them tomorrow, right? Just call all the franchised ones, right? Because they have a much higher overhead than you do. They have to pay royalties and so forth. So they have to charge more, and they have their lead coaching system teaching them how to charge more. You don't have anybody teaching you how to charge more. And so you call your franchise competitors like The Maids, Mary Maids, May Brigade, Two Maids, Molly Maid. Call them, I dare you, and find out what their hourly rate per person. Now, usually they'll quote in a team of two. So they'll say something like, well, a team of two is 120 an hour, right? And that would be 60 an hour per person. So why are you charging 40 an hour or 45 an hour? Why are you saying, I can't get that much in my area? Well, if they can, and they don't even clean as good as you, then you can if you knew how. So that's assumption number 3, is people won't pay that much in my area. I can almost guarantee you are undercharging by about 25 to 30% if you're not in the CBF program, because we teach people how to raise their prices. And that's usually how they triple their investment their first year, is we show them how to raise their prices without losing clients. And they make back their initial down payment and their monthly payments within months, most people. Now, if you don't follow through, then you won't make it back, right? But we show you how. All right, you ready for assumption number 4? Assumption number 4. You ready? Listen carefully. Is this you? If it is, type in number 4. That's me. Assumption number 4 is, I have to clean. I cannot hand off my jobs to employees because nobody cleans like me. Nobody cares like me. I have to do the cleaning. I tried to hire employees once, and we got all kinds of complaints, and I lost my favorite client. I have to do the cleaning. I cannot become mop free. The quality will erode and my reputation will fall, right? How many of you have said that? I used to feel that way back when I was a cleaner. I cleaned houses for 8 years, people. So don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I cleaned the toilets for 8 years. And most of those years I cleaned by myself because I was afraid to hire. And then the last few years before I got 100% out of the field, I started adding employees, but that was a train wreck because they didn't know what I was doing and they kept quitting and doing a bad job and costing me a fortune because they couldn't clean and they cleaned slow. It was a train wreck, right? But number 4, if that's you, I have to clean because nobody cleans like me. Nobody cares like me. And I train them and I train them and I train them and I train them. And then they still clean terrible and generate complaints. And then I lose customers and I have a reputation to protect, right? If that's you, put that in the comments. So here's the answer to that. It's not true that nobody can clean and nobody will care. Now, it might be true that no one's ever going to care like you because you're the owner. You have everything in the world to gain to grow your empire. You could literally grow this company if you do it right to millions. And guess what? AI is not replacing you, right? Be glad you're not in the software industry, or you're not a blogger, or you're not in social media for a living, because AI is replacing all of that, but they're not replacing making beds, changing sheets, picking up toys, sweeping and mopping floors. I mean, I get there's robots now that can vacuum the floors and sweep and mop, but we're a long way from making beds and going upstairs and cleaning the whole upstairs and dusting and polishing the furniture. We're a long way from robots doing that. We are not going to be replaced anytime soon. And more people want their house cleaned than ever before. This is one of the fastest growing industries on the planet. So it is not true that nobody can clean like you. Now, it's probably true that you do not have a scalable, repeatable training system, That could be true. We teach you at Cleaning Business Fundamentals how to train a brand new employee who has no prior experience in 5 days. I don't know of another training program that teaches you how to effectively train a brand new, shiny new employee in 5 days. And we do it every single day in my company, every single day. We crank out amazing cookie cutter A-player clones using our formula for training. So yes, people can clean like you. In fact, I have cleaners that clean better than me, especially now that I haven't cleaned in a long time. Okay, so it's not true. If you train them the right way, they can clean circles around you, or if they can't clean circles around you, they'll be excellent instead of perfect. And part of your problem is you've created a standard of perfection that nobody can duplicate, and we'll show you how to create a standard of excellence that all your employees can duplicate. So number 4, I have to do all the cleaning because nobody can clean like me. We'll get you out of the field in 90 days if you follow our formula. All right, number 5, you ready for this? Number 5, assumption cleaning business owners make. Whoops, sorry. A phone call just came in. Assumptions that cleaning business owners make that kill your business. Number 5. And that is, well, I don't want to be like those franchises. Their quality is terrible, right? How many of you have said that? How many of you have said that? Well, I don't want to be like the franchises because I win some of their clients because they do such a bad job. Have you been guilty of saying that? I used to say that. If that's you, type in number 5, that's me, right? You're like, I don't want to be like the franchises. Their quality is bad, right? So here's the thing. If you have a franchise in your town that's got 25 cars out or 20 cars in their parking lot, and knowing them, if it's cars, they probably have teams of 2 at least. So that means you've got 40 people working for them. Okay, they're probably doing well over $1 million. If you're doing less than 500,000 and your franchise competitor is doing over $1 million, they can't be that bad because they have more happy customers than you do. People won't pay for service they don't like. People won't pay for service they don't love, right? Because there's so much cheap competition out there, they can go find another service. So instead of thinking, well, I don't want to be like the franchises, their cleaning sucks, I want you to think, if they can charge $60 an hour, why can't I? If they have 40 employees, why can't I find 2 more or 5 more? How come I can't get to 10 employees or 20, right? How is that? Because I can tell you right now, the franchises usually pay a lot less than my company pays. If they can win and find and keep 300 clients and get to $1 million, or 600 clients and get to 2 million, or 900 clients, right, and get to 3-4 million, why can't I? Their cleaning can't be that bad if their business is 3 times bigger than yours. That is an assumption that's killing you. The franchises have a system. They have a system for training, a system for pricing, a system for lead generation, a system for closing the sales at higher price points, a system for following up. They have a system. The difference between you and the franchise isn't that you clean better than they do. The difference is they have a system and you don't. And that's what we teach. We give you a turnkey system. And so it isn't true that now, obviously, on their worst day, they're going to lose a client because they suck. Well, on your worst day, you're going to lose a client because you suck, if you're big enough. Now, if your business is really, really tiny and you're going nowhere, you'll probably never lose a client because you did a bad job, ever. Well, how's that working for you, right? So the franchises are not the problem. We are. We get in our own way. We're focused on them. We should be focused on us, right? And then here's number 6. This is a big one. And this is the end all of end all right here, number 6. And if this is you, type into the comments, number 6, that's me. And that's the assumption, I can figure it out eventually. I can figure it out eventually, right? That's a dangerous assumption that's killing your growth. Why? Because you can get a certain distance in business just winging it, making it up as you go. And you can get probably to about 3, 4, just under 500,000, kind of winging it up, winging it, making it up as you go, right? And here's why. It's actually easy to triple nothing, right? So when you're like, well, I tripled my business in 3 years. Well, it's easy to triple nothing, right? If it took you 3 years to get to just 3 or 400,000, we get people to 1 million in 3 to 5 years, right? So I can figure it out on my own. I can figure it out eventually. Well, how much is your time worth? Like, are you willing to stay stuck another year and waste another year of your precious life where you're not making 6 figures? Well, if that's the case, then you just cost yourself a 6-figure income if you're not making 6 figures. And you're like, well, I can figure it out on my own. Well, how much longer will you wait? What if 3 years from now you're still stuck, or you're just a tiny bit bigger than you are today? What if 3 years from now you're still cleaning, or you're still below $500,000? You haven't hit your $1 million mark yet. Is that worth the money you saved deciding to figure it out yourself? That's what we call the do-it-yourselfer, right? Is it worth it? Or is your time more valuable than that? Like, will your kids already be gone and graduated and out of the house, and you spent 3 more years trying to figure it out, working long hours, not making much money, never being able to take a high quality vacation with your family? Is your time so low on the value scale that saving a few $1,000s to figure it out yourself is worth maybe losing precious time with your family? Your kids are going to be graduating, getting out of the house, or your health, right? So it's like you can spin your wheels for another year or 3 years or 10 years and figure it out yourself. And a lot of you are very smart. You might. But is it smart to save a few $1,000s, but spend years trying to get to where you could have in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years? So here's the dirty little secret. If you've been stuck for more than 6 months, you've probably hit a plateau of knowledge, right? You learned a lot through trial and error, but you've hit a plateau of knowledge. It's costing you more money not to learn how to do it quickly than to try to figure it out and struggle some more. Time is not renewable, right? You can always make back money you spend on a program or a training or a college education or all the books or whatever, right? You can make back the money you spent investing in your training. But what you can't make back is the time you lost just trying to figure it out and not achieving what you always believed was possible. Time is the most precious thing we have. This is why billionaires will get on a private jet to fly to a location, not because they're hot stuff or they're snobs, but because their time is so valuable that it's not worth their time to get to the airport 90 minutes early and stand in line and go through security and then check their bags and then wait for the airplane to let them board and then wait for the plane to take off, and it might be late, and then they have to wait another 30 minutes to pick up their bag. You see what I'm saying? A billionaire is going to get on a jet and cost, $15,000 to get to his location because his time is so valuable. He's like, I don't have 4 hours to lose on a short trip. He can hop on his private jet and get there in 1 hour because his time is worth more, right? Our problem is we don't value our time. We value money. We don't value time. We got that backwards. Because if your time is used right, your time will make you more money than you ever thought possible. By applying your time in the right ways, learning how to do it, following a system, and taking off. So that's number 6. I can just figure it out eventually. Or here's a good one. Or, well, I can find a cheaper course to get me through training. I can find it cheaper, right? We actually had somebody recently decline joining CBF because he didn't know this and we didn't tell him. But somebody who knocked off my program, which means, they're my apprentice. They're not the expert. But they found it cheaper, and it is a knockoff, and we know it. And he paid cheaper. And, we didn't want to sound like sour grapes. And so, they're a knockoff. And that means their depth of knowledge is like an inch deep. And the problem with a knockoff is when things change, and things do change, like the pandemic was a big change in our industry. The recession is a big change for some of you who started your business in boom times. The labor shortage was a big change for some of you that have never seen such a labor shortage after the pandemic, right? So things are always changing, but business doesn't change, right? A non-expert, a knockoff, a cover band, right? They're my cover band. They know what to do because they learned it from me, but they don't know why, right? And so when things change, because they don't know why, they don't know how to pivot. They have no idea how to iterate. I am always iterating in my CBF community because even though my business formula never changes, how you apply the principles and how you react to the market, the pandemic, the labor shortage, all these different things, it's all about iterating. And do you want to try to learn from somebody who's never had to iterate before? Somebody who's never grown a business to multiple millions and self-running just to save a few $1,000? Or do you just want your heart operated on by the heart surgeon, not by the nurse practitioner? Anyway, those are pretty crazy illustrations, but I think you know what I mean. That you're not going to figure it out past a certain point, right? Because remember, you can double and triple zero pretty easily. But once you hit like 300,000-400,000, to get to $1 million requires a whole different approach. And you don't have that. You're not going to make it up out of thin air. And if you do, it'll take you many, many years. Could be decades, and it might be never, right? When I invested in coaching, my business turned around like that. I got to $1 million in 9 months, and I have been stuck at between 500 and 650 for years. For years, I was stuck there. I was like, I can figure it out on my own. I got here by myself. Well, I wasn't going to get to $1 million. I wasn't going to get to 2 million. I wasn't going to get to 3 million if I was still back there trying to figure it out on my own. So anyway, number one, I can't find leads. There's too much competition. That's assumption number one. That could be killing your business. Number two, nobody wants to work. Well, that's not true. It's just that nobody wants to work for you. We can fix that. That's my specialty. Number three, people won't pay that much in my area. You know what? I coach people all over the entire United States, and I have yet to meet someone that I was like, yeah, you're right. They won't pay that in that area. I know what the going rate is. Market value for professional maid services is pretty much all over the country and Canada. Trust me when I tell you, they'll pay market value. You're just underpriced. And then number four, I have to clean. Nobody cleans like me. Nobody cares like me. That's not true. That's all in your head. You have created a ridiculous standard that's not scalable or duplicatable. Your standard is perfection. We can show you a standard of excellence and a turnkey system to duplicate excellence. Now, I can't duplicate perfection. And if you've created that scenario, we'll show you how to ease back and retrain your clients. And then number five, assumption number five, I don't want to be like those franchises. Really? You have 40 clients, they have 300 clients, and you don't want to be like them? You got it backwards. And then number six, I can figure it out on my own eventually. All right, but how long is eventually? And what if eventually never comes? How much time and money will you waste that you never made? How much precious time is gone that you will never recoup with your family or your loved ones, your friends? I can figure it out, or, well, I can find it cheaper. Well, good luck, because if they were a serious expert, they'd be more expensive than me. All right. So let me know if that helped. I'm very curious. Just drop in the comments right now. Which number were you? Which number did you see yourself in? Which number? Which number? Just drop it in there right now so I can acknowledge you. And getting ready to go to dinner here. Ooh, crumb. We missed happy hour. Darn it. Oh, bummer. Yeah, my favorite glass of wine is $25 a glass. So on happy hour, it's $12.50 a glass, and I just missed it. Well, if I could get there in 13 minutes, I wouldn't miss it, but that's not going to happen. I'd rather spend that time with you and spend the extra $12.50 on that glass of wine. But let's see here. What was I in the middle of saying? So just a quick reminder, cbflive.com. If you think this stuff is helpful, imagine what you're going to learn when you paid to be there. I mean, our CBF Live conferences is literally, I've had vendors who go to conferences all over the country that aren't even residential specific. I've had vendors tell me, yours is the best conference I've ever been to. It's really good. We have a DJ. We have energy like you wouldn't believe. We have deep level residential specific training that will blow your mind. You will go home with pages and pages of notes and action items, and you will go home a different business owner. I promise you that. I have never received an email or a comment from anyone who attended who said, it wasn't worth it. I wish I hadn't wasted my money. It's never happened. And I've trained thousands of people at my conferences. Never. I always wonder when it's going to happen. Someday it will, but it hasn't happened yet. All right. So cbflive.com, get registered before it's too late. We're about 80% booked, and we're, 2 months out. So we're going to turn off registration. We're going to run out of our room block. And then if you're like, I can't wait for CBF Live, I need cleaning business fundamentals now. I'm sick of cleaning. I'm sick of being broke. I'm sick of sick of having the stress and the chaos. I'm sick of working long hours and not having enough income to show for it. If that's you, then don't wait for CBF Live. In fact, if you join CBF, I'll give you a ticket for free. So go to cleaningbusinessfundamentals.com and book a strategy session with Cole to talk about our program to make sure you're a good fit. And we have a paid in full option, but we also have a easy payment plan option for those of you who are like, well, I'm broke. Well, you're not that broke, right? We can all get enough money to do what we need. We might not get enough money to do what we want. You can't, what is it? You can't always get what you want, but you get what you need. So if you need this, you'll find a way. If you don't really need it, you just want it, you'll find an excuse. All right. So cleaningbusinessfundamentals.com. Let me quit cackling here, and I'll read some of the notes. Dawn Winter says, hey, Dawn, always great to see this beautiful lady. You'll want to meet her. She says, love CBF, makes a huge difference moving forward and successful, in my opinion. Met some beautiful, great, successful friends here. Game changer. Dawn and John Winter are like the salt of the earth. They are staples in CBF. We just love them. And let's see here. Any other comments? Let's see. Did I miss anything? All right. Jen Eastman. Let's see what she said. Alicia, this program will change your business and life. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jen. Jen and Bob are just such cool people. We have some funny jokes that we joke and banter back and forth with them. But, Bob was the serious skeptic and Jen was the enthusiastic, let's join this. And they've joined and we're so happy they're in our program. And I'm sure their business isn't as big as they want it to be, but it's a lot better than it was. And we're just going to keep moving forward with them. All right. Any other questions or comments I need to address? All right. So Crystal says, I don't know how to raise prices on the long-term clients. So Crystal, let me give you a quick short tip that I believe will help you immensely. But of course, I go into great detail in cleaning business fundamentals. But first and foremost, those clients love you and everything else has gone up, right? Inflation. Hello. Milk has gone up. Bread has gone up. I heard eggs were like $11 a dozen at some store, right? Everything else has gone up. If you have clients that begrudge you raising your prices when you haven't raised them in years, you really shouldn't work with them anyway. What they're saying is, you're not worth it. Why would you work with somebody who says you're not worth it? I guarantee you they love you. Go raise their prices. They might not like it, but they're not going to fire you. And if they do, then you should say, don't let the door hit you on your way out. I got a dozen more that want my service that will pay me more. So charge what you're worth and make no apologies for raising your prices. Because I guarantee you Kroger didn't apologize to their customers when they raised the price of milk, right? 7-Eleven didn't apologize when they raised the price of bottled water. And Exxon didn't apologize when they raised the price of gas. So don't apologize. Raise your prices. Charge what you're worth. All right. I don't see any other questions in the chat. I'm about ready to go to dinner. But I brought this. I forgot to use this, but I brought this little fake $1 million bill, right? And we oftentimes give these out and ask people to write a date on that when you're going to hit your first $1 million in revenue in your business, right? So stop thinking small potatoes. Oh, if I could just get out of the field and have 5 employees. Or, oh, if I could just, grow to 10 employees, I'd be happy. Or if I could just get my business to 500,000, I'd be happy. Well, if you can get it to 500,000, let's get it to 1 million. It's harder to get from 0 to 500,000. It's easier to get to 1 million with the right system. And once you hit 1 million, if you're in the right market, and I'm not even in that big of a market, I don't even service the Dallas area. I service the suburbs. If I can get my business 3 million, business runs much easier and is a lot more profitable at 3 million than even at 1 million. So if you can get it to 1 million, let's get you to 3. So let's do this together. I love helping people grow their business. It's the favorite thing I do. All right. I see Alicia was participating. Thank you. So guys, thank you, Kathy and Aaron and Dawn and all of our CBF members that joined us here. And those of you who are not CBF members yet, you can learn more by going to cleaningbusinessfundamentals.com. And if you just want to come check us out in Dallas for 3 full days of training and networking with other cleaning business owners, it'll change your life. Go register now at cbflive.com. Can't wait to see you there. Until next time, I hope you have a great night, and I'll be back again soon.